Hey everyone, and welcome to the Procreate demo for the piece I call Sam Space. So this was a design that I did for sort of another project that I just wanted to get into the headspace of the project, so I did this real quick for fun. As you can see, I start here with a rough sketch of something completely different, and then I just hated it, so I started over. This video is really straightforward. I don't really do anything dramatic as far as techniques go or as far as anything special. It was just something that I recently did. So I figured since I haven't posted a YouTube video in a while, I would go ahead and do one for this. I've got another one planned that you're going to see as the next one up that's a super in-depth look at how I might design a character, like a full design process. So that one is going to be a lot longer and a lot more in depth, and it's going to cover just more things in general. So for this, what I did was I sketched it using the fat pencil that I've shown in my previous videos, and then when I went into inking, you could see that I sort of started it and started over again. I was just trying to figure out which pen I really wanted to use, and I ended up settling on the one that has like a little bit of a rough bleed to it. Under the inking tab, it's called, I believe, Ink Bleed, or Pen Bleed, something like that. It's just one of the standard Procreate ones. I just thought it'd be fun to do something. I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the video. It should render out relatively large, so you could really get in there and look. But if you look at the final piece of art on my Instagram or on my DeviantArt page, you'll see that there's a roughness when the pen gets really thick and fat. It starts getting jagged on the edges. I just thought it'd be fun to mess around with and try out. Like with a lot of artists when they're doing art, they sort of remember their environment and what they were doing when they were doing the piece. And just now, as I was doing the sideburns, I realized that I was watching White Men Can't Jump because it was put on Netflix, and I thought that'd be fun to watch. And then I believe when I was finishing it, I was watching F is for Family. So it's just sort of funny, you know, how these pieces can be like a time capsule for your brain a little bit. Since the rough sketch was done so fast, though, neither one of those influenced the piece in any significant way. So here I just zoomed in real quick so you could see the stubble. Nothing too fancy. I just want to make sure that when certain things get detailed, it's easy to see in the video. So as you can see right now, this is basically just a straightforward piece. Right there you probably saw that big black dot like appear for a second and then start turning into his earpiece. It's still rough, it's not like a perfect circle, but just the way that I created that circle was I just chose the airbrush that is a hard airbrush. It's like a hard edge around the circle. I just made it large and placed the circle right in the middle of the screen and on a different layer, and then I warped it in order to get like a rough base for the earpieces. So if you go back and look at it, you can sort of see how I did that. Again, something that I would love to see in Procreate would be a shape tool. There's just a lot of instances, even if you're doing random free drawing or painting, where you want to just have a simple circle or a square or maybe even the French curves or ruler stuff that they've got in Adobe Sketch. That would be super awesome because having to do all these like little bullshit tricks in order to get circles and stuff is kind of a pain in the ass. So now here I just convert the lines to like a light red brown, set them to multiply, and then I did a really crude selection to get a solid shape around his entire form so that I can then keep using that as a selection to place more flats and place the shadows later on. Now in one of my previous videos, the select paint deselect clear thing, I talk about how I go from sort of like my flat that's on the lowest layer all the way to my flat that's on the top layer. I actually didn't do that in this one. I was a little undisciplined in my process, and so when you see me get to the shadow part, there's parts where I have to erase and I have to do like a few adjustments Oh, right there is like this lens, this like holographic lens idea that I had for him that in the final you'll see is gone because I couldn't really do it in a way that I was happy with it, and I thought it really got in the way of just like his face and everything. So you'll see me futz around with that again in a minute, and then I completely just abandon it. So there's the shadow layer. It's really simple. It's the thing I usually do where it's a light purple gray. It's set to multiply, and then I go through and using various selections, I paint that in. Now here's some rim light work, which is just white set to add on its own layer. And then here I'll go ahead and repeat that footage just so you can check that part out again. So here I'm just going through, that's a hard white on the metal there, and then when I go to the skin it's a different layer where it's white set to add, and that's what you see right there getting applied. Now I wish the very end of these videos were sort of slower, because at the end there's sort of a lot of things that can happen really quick that are that like extra touch that sort of get lost when they get saved out of Procreate. So right here you're seeing it go through one time, and I slowed it down as much as I can on iMovie and on mobile iMovie. And so now here we're going to go through it one more time. I'll try to explain it as quick as possible. So here I do the lens stuff. I don't like it, so then I eventually scrap it. I realized that with the sideburns plus the color scheme I've gone with, it's too much like Wolverine, so I changed that to blue and purple, kind of like a dark blue and light blue, and I put a texture layer over the entire thing to give it a little bit of dirtiness. So then here what we've got is that's the final piece. That's how it came out in the end. And again, it's nothing super revolutionary, but I just thought it might be fun to share. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And if you're looking for me on the internet, these are all the places where you can find me.